me now in welcoming Teddi Beam-Conroy to the Purple Circle Rug. The title of her talk is Relationship Status? It's Complicated.
I'm the first person in my family to attend a school that was not racially constituted by law. The second person in my family was my third son, Daniel, who started kindergarten in 1995. Nonetheless, my family has a proud history of education. My children are the fifth generation to receive a college degree, but this is not a bootstrap's tale. I'm not here to tell the story of how my family did it and your family could too. This is really a question that's cloaked in a conundrum that's wrapped up in an enigma. Why am I here? In this place that, in many cases, was put together specifically to exclude people who look like me, which makes my relationship to schools a little complicated. But maybe it's epigenetics. My ninth great-grandmother was a white Irish dairymaid who was sentenced to the colonies in Maryland instead of being put to death because she could read. She served her 7 years, marched herself down to the Chesapeake Bay after buying a tobacco farm, and purchased 2 enslaved Africans. One of them was cheap. He was said to have had a bad attitude, and he wasn't made for menial labor but to manage people who were. She was impressed by his knowledge of planting and farming, so she freed him and married him. My ninth great-grandmother taught her grandchildren to read at home, even though it wasn't illegal to teach African-descended people in Maryland to read and write like it was in other slave states. They just couldn't go to school. One of those grandchildren grew up to write 6 almanacs. His name was Benjamin Banneker. I'm descended from his sister, Jemima Banneker-Lett. Jemima's oldest son, Aquila, moved his family to Ohio. He is a landowner and a farmer and a taxpayer, and so in 1845 he decided his children deserved to go to school, and he sent them. Word got around, and the board of directors ordered the teacher to separate the Lett children from the other scholars. When she refused, they fired her. When they hired a new teacher, Aquila sent his kids back to school. The directors closed the school. When it reopened, Aquila sent his kids once again. They tore down that school and then burned down another school. And this is all documented in a book called The History of Muskingum County, Ohio. The director said that they didn't need to come to school because N-word folk knowed too much already. So, undaunted, Aquila sued the school district. And Judge Matthew Fisher agreed with him, sort of. They agreed to create a school for Negro children on the Lett family property. The white school reopened in 1853, and the Negro school opened in 1864. So everybody in my family, from Aquila's children down to me, attended schools that were racially segregated by law. My mother was a college student at the time of the Brown decision. She was attending Minor Teachers College, which was the colored public college. After desegregation, it was merged with the white Teachers College, Wilson Teachers College. And yeah, you heard that right. My mother was a teacher. My father was a teacher. My sister, yep, she's a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. My father's first 2 cousins were a teacher. I have 2 cousins who are teachers, and I could go on, which now makes my question a little more relevant. What tethers my family to these institutions that work so hard to keep us away? John Goodlad wrote A Place Called School in 1984, and coincidentally, that's when this photograph was taken. That's me, my first year as a teacher, with my class in my desegregated Title I school, a dual language school created because of a desegregation order, a school that my oldest 2 children would eventually attend. There they are, the faces of desegregated dual language. They are economically, racially, and linguistically diverse. There's 18 fifth graders, 10 fourth graders, They learned together in English and Spanish, and they were golden. The following year, I taught a straight 5th grade. Equally, racially, economically, and linguistically diverse, equally incredible individuals. 3 of them were named Michael. They were teachers' kids and kids of families on public assistance. They spanned the gap. There were kids with 3 parents. There were kids with 1 parent. There were kids in foster care because the 1 parent was incarcerated. So we were sitting around brainstorming and saying, kind of come up with scenarios where kids could get into conflict in preparation for a presentation we were going to do for our monthly all-school assemblies. And one kid said, well, what if there's a white kid and a black kid, and the white kid calls a black kid a name, and they start to fight? Silence. Perplexed looks. That doesn't happen here, somebody said. And the kid with the suggestion said, you're right, and moved on. And I got goosebumps. In that moment, I realized something that my students took for granted, that school could be a place where kids could come together and learn and celebrate and accept each other's differences. A place where many years later, one of the students in that class said to me, a kid like me, a little black girl from the ghetto, I didn't think there was anything special about my bilingual education. My teachers accepted me and loved me and taught me I was smart. That Title I desegregated dual language school helped me believe that we educators, together with families and students and communities, can create little utopias where everyday miracles can occur. That Title I dual language and segregated classroom produced a doctor, 2 nurses, a teacher, 2 DJs, 3 social workers, a contractor, a Mexican-American female nuclear weapons engineer, a police officer, and a felon. And I know this because we still talk on Facebook. We're still a community. So I guess the answer to my question would have to do something with love. Molly Welsh taught her grandchildren out of love. Love makes us walk into buildings like this every day, places that are heavy with hope and full of possibility, despite the trauma and the acronyms and the legacies of racism that still haunt our institutions. So I guess that's why I still believe in a place called school. Thank you.